Hi everyone, and welcome back to Unhinged But Healthy. So, Happy New Year! How are we? How is everyone's New Year? Let me know. I'd love to know. I'm sorry, it's so dark. Every week there's something new. Can you see my mirror back here? This, if you're watching on YouTube, is usually what gives me my light, but it's not working. My mum's boyfriend is like a tech whiz, and a few weeks ago, let me silence my laptop. Yeah, a few weeks ago he made this so that I can turn it on from my phone, but my Wi-Fi is being so dodge, so the app isn't working and I can't turn it on manually anymore, and sometimes it's just best to leave things be the way that God intended, you know. So yeah, we are using the lamp in front of me today, and unless things are pre-recorded, this may be the last time you see me live and in action from a bedroom or this bedroom ever, to be honest. But yes, anyways, more on that to come. This is probably going to be a brief one today because I've been so busy packing to go away, and just trying to see everyone and stuff beforehand. So this is literally Saturday evening at 20 to 8 in the PM, and this is up in the morning. So if you are watching, I would be grateful if you could like and subscribe to my channel, and if you would like to leave a comment as long as it's nice. And if you are listening, I would be grateful if you could follow and review my show. I would be ever so grateful, and that would be ever so kind. But yes, today I briefly would like to talk about trusting your intuition when it comes to people. I have recently, and I've spoken about this before, I've recently been in a situation where I kind of ignored, sorry if you can hear my stomach, where I have kind of ignored a gut instinct around someone, and I have kind of been regretting that recently. And I just kind of want to talk about how, not that I feel disappointed in myself, I don't feel disappointed in myself. I feel like this is a lesson that keeps being repeated in my life, and maybe now I'm finally learning it and learning what signs to notice and what signs I maybe shouldn't ignore. And I'm not saying that this person is an awful person, not that they would listen to this, but they're just not a person that is healthy for me, you know. So yes, to briefly speak about this situation, I had briefly started speaking to this person in the spring, summertime, and I just really wasn't a fan. And I remember sitting in Pizza Express with my best friend, and she was like, oh, how's it going with so and so? And I was like, I really don't like them. I was like, they really remind me of my ex. I was like, I don't know what it is, but something about them just reminds me of my ex, and I don't like that. And she was like, oh god, bin. And I was like, yeah, bin. And then I did bin, and I did trust my instinct. And then then this person came back, and this person had quite a different demeanor, quite a different vibe, you know, just kind of came towards me in a different way, kind of in a way of somebody I felt really understood me, and I kind of felt wow, I feel so stupid for looking over this person the first time around, regardless of what happened. Maybe I misjudged, people say things sometimes, and you know, people don't always act in a way that they would act once they get to know you, when they don't know you that well. you know, and just like things like that. And I was kind of just like, they seem so nice this time, like I want to give it a chance, you know. And I was just kind of coming up with every single reason in my head to kind of like push back like what had happened prior. I'm so thirsty. And I just remember being like, it's fine, like I've clearly misjudged, and like with everything that's like happened in my past, like I have often been made to feel as though my judgment isn't correct, and that has led me in my adult life to often not trust my judgment and always need to get a second opinion and stuff like this. And things seem to be going well, and then there was a few instances where I was like, I don't really like how I'm being treated right now, but there's an excuse, and there should never be an excuse, you know. If you don't like how you're being treated, like there should be no but to it. But as someone who doesn't always trust their intuition, and again as a consequence maybe of the environment I was brought up in, has led me to believe sometimes that I cause people to act and speak to me act towards and speak to me in a certain way, which is absolutely not true. Like I just don't know like what I'm trying to say here, but nothing that you've ever done, being that you are not causing anyone harm, deserves like hot and cold behavior, push pull, like dynamic, like being spoken to like shit, like, you know, being made fun of like in a subtle way, and like being made to feel small. Like none of that is ever called for, you know. And I can guarantee you, if you are the person hurting someone else, they're not the type of person most likely that is going to bring that behaviour. They're probably just going to want reconnection. And yeah, so I pushed past a lot of things until I literally like couldn't keep it to myself anymore. And like, I'm making this sound so dramatic, but yeah, like eventually like I just kind of got to a point where I felt like I had been too emotional, and I had been too anxious, and I had been too sensitive and hypervigilant, and that I was making this like dynamic up in my head, and that this person was like a perfect saint, that in my head I was painting out to be somebody who wasn't that. And I just like completely thought that it was my fault that they had kind of like turned a cold shoulder on me, kind of thing. And I was like, it's just completely my fault, like I've been too anxious, like everything on TikTok's telling me that like I have to try and like switch this dynamic up by like backing off and like stuff like that, when in reality like I hadn't been that bad. I hadn't been as anxious as I had prior. Like yes, I'd asked a few questions and things like that, but I hadn't done half as much as I usually would in this kind of dynamic. And I was proud of myself because I, for the first time ever, didn't really like chase. I kind of just let it happen. Like I did ask for clarity, but once I'd received my answer and the behaviour was still showing something completely different to the words, I kind of just backed off and did what was best for me, even though it really hurt. And when I got to the point, like I was saying, where I finally like confided in my friends and my family about like what was happening and like how I was feeling, again, it's not as bad. Like that makes it sound really bad. Like it wasn't that bad. It was just misaligned words and actions, and it was making me feel this small, you know. Yeah, and just like being made to feel like I wasn't enough and like stuff like that. And again, I was making it feel like I was making myself feel that way and that this person wasn't what was making me feel this way. And so I decided to like put a stop to it. And I literally, for like a month to like 6 weeks, I was so down bad. Like I was so upset. Like I wasn't sure I'd made the right decision. I wasn't sure I'd made the right decision. And like I was like questioning myself, and I was like, I think it was all my fault. Like, you know, I do genuinely think that maybe if I'd have given this person more time, as if I hadn't given them enough already, like maybe they would have pulled through, and like maybe they were telling the truth, but I just hadn't given them enough time, like, you know. And I was just making myself feel really bad. And eventually I did get to a point where I was like, do you know what, like, yeah, I think this is for the better. Like it's not what I wanted. Like, you know, I also don't think that I was what they wanted, like not in the way that they were acting and stuff like this. And then, yeah, so I kind of like swept this under the rug, like took the lessons that I learned from it and just like thought like, okay, like I'm just going to release this now, like whatever, you know. And I still kind of had it in the back of my mind that like it could have worked, and that like maybe I made them out of my head to be somebody that they weren't. And again, like that's not trusting my intuition. Fast forward, to like 2 weeks ago, I went out and I saw this person out, you know, kind of like spoke, had like a nice conversation, like cleared the air, whatever, because we hadn't spoken since things had ended, and they didn't really end in a very clear way. And yeah, and like I thought things were fine. And then, you know, I kind of like shared my piece of the situation with them, and like how I felt about things ending. Granted, I had drunk quite a bit, so my account of things may not be like 100% true, but yeah, anyways, this is what I remember. And yeah, and I just kind of got met with like deflection, and like I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't have time. I'm busy. You know, where am I based? Like, you know, and I just was like, and I said to this person, like, I really liked you, like, I didn't want to have to end things, and I was kind of made to feel as though, like, well, you did, and that's on you, like, you didn't give me enough time. And I remember this person, like, leaving the conversation, and I, like, was, like, tearing up, and I was just made to feel exactly how I was made to feel in those last few weeks again. And I was just like, and I was just tearing up. My friend's like, you okay? And I was just like, I literally feel like they're making me feel like I've made it all up in my head. Like, I literally have been made to feel like this small. And I remember saying this, and they were like, you have not made it all up in your head. Like, you're better than this. Like, come on. And like, now I look back, I just feel like I have been out of that headspace for such a long time. And for somebody to be able to put me back into it in 5-10 minutes, like, that can't be me. Like, do you know what I mean? And then as the night went on, I was just like, oh, like I'd had some drinks, like I'd seen this person, like, you know, a few feelings had like arisen in me. And I decided to text this person and just say, like, look, like, I said it in a bit of a more sloppy way, but I basically said, like, please don't get with anyone in front of me. I will cry, basically. And, you know, I feel like someone with emotional intelligence, not saying that they don't have any, but would say, like, I can't promise this, but, like, I can understand, I don't want to hurt you, you know, like, or, like, you know, like, okay, that's fine, you know, as long as you do the same for me, you know. But no, I was met with a very abrupt and defensive reply. And then this person proceeded to dance with girls in front of me all night. And to begin with, I was just like, you know what, like, it's fine, like, it's whatever, like, it's okay. And I just got on with my night. And then we left the first bar and like went to a club, and then just right in front of my face, just right there, and I was just like, I can't hold it together anymore. Like, this isn't fair. Like, I've spoken to you about how I feel about things ending, and yes, I ended things, but I've told you why, and you still don't see any wrong in your actions. And two, like, I have asked you to please not do this in front of me, and here you are doing it directly in front of me all night. And at the time, I was just so upset that I was just sat there like bawling my eyes out. And my best friend had literally just had enough of this, and then she went over and like she probably said a few things that she shouldn't have said, you know. And yes, that wasn't handled in the right way, but you know, we can't control what other people do, and when drink is involved, I feel like things like this are always messy. And yeah, so I don't really remember what happened from that point on, but I think this person left, and then they messaged me basically like saying like, how dare my best friend like disrespect them like that, like they never disrespected me, so like how dare, like not even like how dare, but like so they don't deserve to be disrespected, like they never intended to hurt me, they never did anything mean to me, like they can't believe that I would let my best friend speak to them that way. And like I was just like so upset, and all I wanted in that moment was like repair. Like I in that moment was in like such a triggered state, and like I was kind of like feeling the way that I was whilst I was in the connection again. And like I at that moment in time, like I just kept saying like, I still like you, I miss you, and like, you know, and even though that's not entirely true, like again, like alcohol was involved. And I said it a few times, and like not once was I met with that back. And I was just kind of like, I was trying to say like, you know, like I just felt at the time that like you know, like they were trying to say like you ignored me, like, and I was like, yeah, but I felt like you wanted me to ignore you and that you didn't care about me. And they were like, no, this wasn't true, like, you know. And it was just like, I don't know, it was just difficult, and I just felt like my reality had been like completely denied, and that like my feelings had been completely invalidated in this situation. And I was literally like just trying to say like, I can't control another person. Like I was so drunk, I was in tears, like I didn't even know my best friend had gone, you know. And they were saying that like that was half the problem. And yeah, and it was just like, I don't know, like I just kind of feel like one part of the situation was being made to be bigger so that it minimized this person's behavior. And like I don't know, like my like friends and family keep trying to say that maybe it was to get a reaction. I kind of just feel like it's because this person didn't care about me at all. But what I'm trying to say like from this story is like, this is how I felt about this person and this situation from the get-go. Like deep down, I knew that first time after I'd ignored this person because of the interactions that we'd had and some of the things that they had said to me. Like from that information that I had gathered, I knew, like my gut instinct was to leave this, to not take it any further. But like I said, when this person came back, I decided to ignore that gut instinct, and I had decided that I had made an incorrect judgment when all along I knew deep down how this situation was gonna play out, and maybe not exactly, but I knew in a way, you know. And it's just like, I feel like this always happens. Like, I meet someone and I have an initial gut feeling and I'm like, I don't think I like this person, and I'm like, no, do you know what, like, I'm gonna give them more of a chance. And the more of a chance that I give them, the more I realise why I should have just trusted it initially. And I feel like I'm so heavy on like, no, like, you have to give people second chances, like, you know, like, maybe you were wrong about it, but no, like, you actually don't. Like, if you have a gut feeling about somebody and you have an initial instinct and you're like, I don't like this behaviour, like, I don't like what this could turn into, it shouldn't take more and more and more to happen. I am guilty of needing more to happen for me to completely cut someone out. Like, if I'm not attached to you and you do something that I don't like, I will cut you out, no issue, like I did the first time. However, if you are persistent, I will let you in, you know. And then once I'm attached to you, it takes many little things to happen, and I feel like I needed this to happen to close the book. I feel like I needed to see how careless this person was with my feelings and my emotions. Like, I feel like I needed to see that in order for me to close this chapter, and not think about the what ifs, and for me to just move forwards fully. Because I'm not gonna lie, for the first 2 days I did think it was my fault, and because I had been drunk, I had been so kind and I had been so apologetic, and I do feel like that's revealed my true character, if I'm honest. But yeah, and I had forgotten what had happened entirely, and then like 2 days later I had started to remember, and I remembered why I got so upset, and I remembered why my friend did what she did, and, you know, like, whether, you know, not that excuses it, but you know what I mean, like, yeah. And I remembered, and then I was like, do you know what, no, like, you didn't deserve that kindness from me. But again, it reveals my true character, and I can't be ashamed of that, even though it is annoying, and I wish I could stand up for myself now, but it's too late, because at the time I didn't know what I was standing up for myself for. You know, I just thought that I'd caused all this drama. But yeah, I feel like these things just happen. Like, it's a blessing in disguise. It's an end of a chapter now. I don't have to wonder what if, because I know I don't want to be with someone like that. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like I talk about things that are too personal on this podcast, but like, I don't know. It's just like, I want to share this experience with somebody because I knew, like, deep down, I knew, and I let emotions override that, and I let feelings override that, and I ignored my intuition, and it was getting louder and louder and louder the whole time, that like, this is not a situation that I should be getting myself involved in. And I did it anyway, and eventually, in the end, you are always shown why you should have initially listened. Hey, Miss Girl. You are always shown why you should have initially listened to your gut instinct in the first place. And yeah, it's another lesson learned, and it's another step closer to the right person. But yeah, I hope if you're dealing with anything similar, you can apply this to any situation, you know, just like, you don't have to wait for the absolute worst to happen to trust your gut instinct. Like, if you don't feel right about somebody, you don't feel right about somebody. You don't have to give them chance after chance after chance just because you want connection, whether that be in any form of relationship. You know, like, there are people out there that will love you and appreciate you for who you are, and not just like play you. But yeah, I'm glad this has happened. I feel like it's helped me to detach a bit, and maybe that's what was meant to happen, and I learned my lesson, and I hope this time that it sticks with me. But yes, thank you for listening. I love you lots, and I will see you soon. Bye.